Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center. This is DreamBuilder Workshop Week 5. So congratulations to everybody that is joining me on Week 5, regardless of where you're at in the program. If you're a little bit behind, that's okay. If you're right on task, congrats to you. What is important is that you showed up tonight and you're interested in continuing with your business plan and with your dream. So we're going to jump right in. For those of you that are potentially new to us or just are still confused on what the Women's Business Center is and how you're a part of it, the Wyoming Women's Business Center is a nonprofit organization, and we work to assist individuals who want to start or expand a small business, specifically in the state of Wyoming. And of course, we have a special emphasis on women. And so we do this work through 3 different programs. The first is business training and counseling. And this program that you're participating in right now of DreamBuilder is an example of that business training and counseling that we provide. A secondary program that we provide is our microloan department. And our microloans are for people that were unable to qualify for traditional loan from a bank. So if for some reason you got denied from a traditional bank, then you become eligible to apply for our microloan program. We contribute loans to Wyoming companies anywhere as low as $500 all the way up to $50,000. So it's a pretty wide range, but our typical loan is usually between $10,000 and $15,000. And then our third program is the Artist Development Program. We run that in conjunction with the Works of Wyoming retail store that we have in downtown Laramie. And we try to help artists grow their businesses so that their businesses can be self-sufficient and pay them a living wage. All right, guys, so this is all about writing your business plan. That's what this 6-week facilitated course is all about, and hopefully getting everybody to graduation. And if you don't graduate within our 6-week program, that's okay. You're still going to have access to the DreamBuilder program, and you can work at your own pace. You also always have access to the business counselors at the Wyoming Women's Business Center. So if you want to reach out to myself or Jonathan Howdyshell, either one of us can work with you to finish out your business plan and to finish out the DreamBuilder course if for some reason you're not on track with this particular cohort. So we do recommend that you dedicate somewhere between 3 and 4 hours a week for this DreamBuilder course so that you can get through all the content. And even that is a pretty aggressive pace. So again, if you feel like you need more time, I understand. And we'll continue to work with you after this cohort closes. All right, so we are on week 5, which means we just finished out week 4. We're going into week 5. And so we're going to be looking at funding your dream and formalizing your dream in this upcoming week. But before we dive into what that content consists of, let's just do a quick recap of week 4. And just so I can get a sense of where everybody is at, can you just type for me really quick in the chat box? Everybody open up your chat and tell me where you're at in the program. So pick whatever module you have finished most recently. You might be in the middle of, say, managing your dream, or you're in the middle of keeping track of your dream, in which case you would put down you've completed, the last course that you completed was profiting from your dream. Or maybe the last course that you completed was way back in week 2 of making your dream. Again, no judgment from me or any of the other participants. I just want to get a sense of where you're at in the program, so I know where everybody is headed. I have some backend access to DreamBuilder, so I can also pull up and kind of see your progress and your quiz scores. What I do not have access to is your business plan. So that is something that is just within your profile. And so when you get to the end and you're able to actually print out your business plan, if that's something that you want to share with a business counselor going forward so that we can give you a little bit of feedback, that's something that I'm open to doing as well. All right, so it looks like we've got somebody in pricing. Michaela's in pricing, Nadia's in selling, Vicky's finished managing your dream. Good job. Planning your dream. Okay, just finished watching, keeping track. Okay, but behind on some homework. Totally all right. So you can see we're all kind of all over the place, right? Looks like Tamara is working on the financial certification course. Okay, and set the DreamBuilder aside. So financial certification is a separate course offered within the DreamBuilder content. again, you're all entrepreneurs. And so you need to decide, what makes the most sense for you and where you want to work. I just want to meet you where you're at and help you answer whatever questions you've got. Okay, somebody else on pricing your dream. All right, terrific. Thanks, guys, for letting me know where you're at. Okay, so let's talk about managing your dream. If some of you haven't gotten to this content yet, this will just be kind of another review for what is coming. But once you've watched Managing Your Dream, these are the things that they talked about. They talked about what it really means to be a manager. They identified the steps that are involved in hiring and training employees. So if you plan on just being a one-man show in your business and you never see yourself hiring employees, then really, you're focused on managing yourself, right? And maybe a couple of family members, just as far as setting boundaries might be concerned. But if you are planning on hiring employees in the future, then these are steps that you're going to want to be familiar with and kind of have an understanding of what's required. They discussed some of the reasons for having an actual organizational chart. And this really just comes down to roles and responsibilities. What are the roles and responsibilities of each person that's going to be working in your business? Just like your business plan is a living, breathing document and can get updated and changed, so can your organizational chart. Right? Any of us that have had jobs with any company knows this to be the case. Businesses are always kind of reorganizing, restructuring, trying to figure out, how they're going to work best as a team. Some of that is because of the skills and the abilities of the different people that come into the team. Right? And so you may need to reorganize around certain skill sets. And so it's always a good idea to have kind of your vision of what your org chart, what you want it to look like. And then there might be a reality to your org chart. So there may be a goal org chart and then kind of the reality of the situation now. So the goal might be to have 3 full-time employees, but right now you've got your spouse and your teenage nephew and a friend that's helping you out, right? But we have a goal for our org chart, to look a particular way once we get our finances to a point where we can do that. So you also, if you went through this already, they talked about why rules are important when you're working with family. And so as someone that has had multiple family businesses, I just want to say that this is very true. Knowing the roles and responsibilities for each family member, if family is working in your business, is really important. Understanding what everybody's expectations are, so that there's no confusion. You don't want any family member to be confused as to what their role is in the business and to what their responsibilities are, and ultimately to what their take or ownership in the business is. So family can sometimes get confused as to who owns the business if they're helping out. And they might think, oh, well, yeah, you're paying me a little bit on the side here, but if you make it big or if things go really well in your business, then you're going to give me half the money at the end. Right? So sometimes these ideas, people just kind of form on their own based on side conversations or, information they've gotten from other family members. This is why it's really important to know upfront exactly what the roles and responsibilities are and what everybody's obligations are, who owns the business. Everything should be in writing. You should treat it just like it was a non-family member. You'd identified some strategies for dealing with good and bad employees. So again, if you've ever worked in a business, hopefully you have some experience understanding a little bit about human resources. If not, there's all kinds of good resources out there, but dealing with good and bad employees is going to happen in your business. Anytime you hire people, you really have about a 25% chance of it working out. Right? That's the truth. And so it may work out for a certain period of time. And then for some reason, it doesn't anymore. And then a change needs to happen. And so that's a constant evaluation process that you're going to be going through. And on the next slide, I'm going to, talk about what that process looks like. All right. We discussed why it's important to manage your time, how important time management is. As a small business owner, you're always going to have more on your plate than you can get done in a day's work. And so because of that, you really have to prioritize what's the most important thing to do next, and then just get comfortable with the idea that it's very hard to have all your plates spinning at once. So it's part of entrepreneurship. It can be a lot of fun, but it can also stress people out. And so just recognize that you may have to get comfortable with the concept of good enough, because it's really hard to be perfect in entrepreneurship. All right. We also talked about why you need to have a plan for paying employees. And so the number one way that employers steal money from employees is by failing to pay them overtime. Okay, so once you bring employees on board, you need to be really clear about what the labor laws are and what is required as far as paying employees. Not only do you have certain liabilities that you have to pay and money that you have to hold out of paychecks, but in addition to that, you need to make sure that you're paying employees correctly. So always have a plan for paying the employees, and make sure that you're following all of the legal requirements for that. And then you also identified some information that you need to keep track of. So there's always information that you got to keep track of in your business. Number one is your money. And then behind that is a lot of information about staff members and employees and, documents and insurance. And so this talked about kind of all of the different resources and things that you need to be keeping track of. Okay, I've got a quick question. I have a scholarship with the American College of Finance and I'm working toward, I've not looked at the financial course, but we'll have to take a look at it. Yes. So there's just a financial course that helps people figure out how they're going to fund their business. And so that financial course that is hosted by DreamBuilder, by that organization, might be something that you want to take a look at. Again, it's free and it's something that you can just start on your own, and it's self-paced. Okay, so when we talk about hiring, I always tell my clients that hiring is not an event. It's actually a process. And so a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to hire this employee. And so I went through the process in order to hire them, and now I'm done. And the truth is, once you decide you're bringing on staff members or you're bringing on employees, you're actually never done, because this is a closed loop process. So you start out with recruiting. And so you want to identify different recruiting sources to find employees. You may post the job online, say you put it on Indeed.com. You may send it out to a couple of friends or family members that may know of people that are looking for work. You may get with different networking groups in your community, whether it's a chamber of commerce or another economic development agency, and let them know, that you're hiring. Maybe there's some kind of bulletin board or electronic bulletin board that you can put this up on. Maybe it's posted on your website or on your Facebook business page that you're hiring, right? There's all different things that you can do in the recruiting phase to try and identify candidates. The next step in that process is actually interviewing and reference checking those candidates. That's a whole skill set in and of itself. Just like marketing a job advertisement or a job, opening is a skill set, so is interviewing and reference checking. Once you identify who you actually want to hire, now you need to have a hiring and onboarding process that you follow. And that onboarding should be a training initially in order to get them on board with your company. But then after they're onboarded, probably within the first 2 weeks, then there should be follow-up training and supervision that is happening while they're in your business. And that again continues and continues. And then from there, you're evaluating that employee. And through evaluation, you're going to decide, am I retaining this employee or am I terminating this employee? And that might sound harsh, but the truth is, as a business owner, this is a cycle and it's a never-ending cycle. And you may have one employee go through this entire cycle in less than 90 days. Or you may have an employee that's going through this cycle and is in the training and retention stage for 5 years. But then at some point, something happens, you evaluate that employee, and now you're moving towards termination or just towards an exit, right? Termination doesn't necessarily mean that you fired the employee or let them go. It may mean they exited for their own reasons or they got a different job. The end though is the employee is terminated, right? They're no longer employed by you. So remember that hiring is a process. It's not an event. Recruit, interview, onboard, train, retain, or terminate. Recruit, interview, reference check, hire, onboard, train, terminate. It's a cycle. And we just go round and round as an entrepreneur. It's never over. Hopefully, the only position that you're never hiring for is your own, right? Unless you're trying to sell your business, in which case, recruit for someone that wants to buy your business, interview and reference check, bring them on board, collect money from them, train them to take over the business, and then terminate your involvement. So you see, it's the same process, whether you're hiring an employee or selling your business. All right, the next course was profiting from your dream. And in this course, we learned about the concepts of a profit and loss statement and also break even. Excuse me, guys, hang on. I've literally been in meetings and talking all day, so I might be coughing a little bit, but I'm not sick. It's just because I've been talking too much. Okay, so when we talk about the concept of a profit or a loss or a break even, one of the things that I always talk to my clients about is we don't want to be planning a business to break even. It's fairly obvious that we wouldn't plan to lose money, but sometimes people work in their cash flow analysis and they work into their plan to break even for a certain period of time. And what I want to get across to you is that it's really hard to work for free for any period of time, right? We can have a passion for our business and we can do aggressive things in order to get it up off the ground, but you never want to plan to break even and not be able to pay yourself for longer than the first year that you're in business. My preference is that you figure out a way to be able to pay yourself within the first 6 months of being in business, because otherwise you get burnt out and you really just, you can't see a future path if you're not planning to be in a position where you can pay yourself money. So it's not just about paying your debts. It's about making enough money in your business, having enough profit in your business to be able to cut yourself some paychecks. And so we want to make a plan for that. That's what makes your business truly viable, right? Just covering your debt load doesn't make for a viable business. What we need to cover is an income for yourself plus the debt load on your business. All right, the other thing that we talked about in profiting for your dream is we discussed what to do if your business isn't profitable. And so this comes down to really taking a hard look at your profit and loss statement and figuring out why it's not profitable, right? Sometimes you're carrying too much overhead and you just have too many expenses going against your business, and we have to find ways to cut. But often it's because you just don't have enough revenue, right? We don't have enough sales. And we want to look at both ends of your profit and loss statement. We want to look at both your income and the potential to generate income and ways to do that, and then also ways to cut expenses. And between those two areas, we should be able to come up with a net profit or at least a plan to get there. We considered some of the reasons why a business may not make a profit and how to correct this. So I just pointed to a few of those. And then finally, we learned what to do when a business is profitable. And so, of course, when you are profitable, it gives you an opportunity to pay yourself money. It also gives you an opportunity to reinvest in your business and scale in order to earn even more money in the future. And that's when things can get really exciting, because scaling your business, scaling a profitable business, can mean that you're actually creating net worth for yourself. And that's really the goal of business ownership, is to create net worth so that you have a secure financial future. That's the hope. That's part of the dream. Okay, so keeping track of your dream, let's just talk about course 10 and what is covered in course 10. So first, we talk about getting organized, paying attention, and keeping track of things in your business. And this comes down to money, right? Tracking, bookkeeping, accounts payable and receivable, any other cash items, and then using your balance sheet. understanding what a balance sheet is, what a balance sheet tells us. And the balance sheet is really telling us a point in time what the cash flow situation is in your business. It covers cash flows and cash flow projections. Really important in your business, especially important if you're going to seek some kind of financing. So cash flow projections are really your best guess of what your business is going to do income-wise, as well as expense, and if you can show a net profit or not. So it's my favorite part of business planning because it really gets down to brass tacks of how much income do you think your business can generate. And I always want to create a realistic cash flow projection, something that I think is attainable. Some people lowball this, some people are really blue sky and, put in really, really big cash flow projections. A banker or someone that is going to be lending you money will have a tendency to go with your lower or your low ball cash flow projection, right? Because they're going to be more risk adverse and want to see something that is incredibly realistic that they know you're going to be able to attain. And then lastly, they covered accounting resources. So anybody that's been involved in the Women's Business Center knows that we do a lot of recommendations towards QuickBooks Online because we feel like QuickBooks is a great resource for small business owners. It's a system that you can implement in your business and use that will automatically generate these kinds of reports for you, like a profit and loss statement, as well as a balance sheet, so that you can keep track of everything in your business and see where your money is flowing and what your income and expenses look like. So there's other accounting resources that you can use, like hiring a bookkeeper or outsourcing, to a CPA. But again, for most small businesses, it doesn't make a lot of sense to pay those fees if you can just keep track of your own money using a simple software program. All right, so that is what is covered in keeping track of your dream. Okay, so if you're on track with our cohort here, then next up is going to be funding your dream and formalizing your dream. So we are almost to the finish line here. And this is going to go into thinking about how much money is needed to start or grow your business. So isn't it interesting that funding your dream and figuring out how much money is needed to start or grow your business is at the very end of the coursework? And so we talked about this in week 1 in the very beginning. I also talk about this in a couple of other webinars that I do on a regular basis, where I have a webinar called 7 Options to Financing Your Business or Finding Money for Your Business. And one of the things that I always mention in that is, people often start out with the amount of money that they have to start their business. So they say, oh, I've saved $10,000 and that's how much I have to start my business. But the amount of money that you have access to today doesn't necessarily equate to how much money you need to start or grow your business. And so it's important that you go through this entire business planning process so that you can work backwards and figure out, oh, okay, this is how much I actually need to fund my business now that I've done the business plan. Rather than starting with a dollar amount in mind and then trying to force everything into that dollar amount. That's a surefire way to be unsuccessful in launching your business. And a banker calls that being undercapitalized, right? So if you're undercapitalized to start your business, it means that you didn't have enough money to pull off your business plan, but you went forward and tried to do it anyway. The most common business that I see this happen to is people that are in the restaurant business or the restaurant industry. They have only enough money in order to get all of the equipment or the space that they need in order to start their business. And they didn't count the amount of money that they needed, like for food, right? In order to actually make food for people and all of the miscellaneous things that go into running a restaurant. Their point of sale system, they had to have internet. There's a certain amount of operating expenditures that you have just to operate a restaurant or to operate a small food business that have nothing to do with the commercial grade equipment that you had to buy in order to be able to cook in the first place, right? And if you don't have a certain amount of operating capital, a runway to work with, you may not be able to sell enough food to pay all of the expenses on a month-to-month basis. So restaurants need a substantial amount of operating capital to begin with, to give them enough of a runway to build up a clientele base of people that are coming and eating at their restaurant or getting their takeout food on an ongoing regular basis. You've got to have quite a bit of capital in addition to the capital that you needed to start the business or get into the physical space. So the last thing that I want is for your business to be undercapitalized, because it increases your chances of failure. So I want to decrease your failure rate by making sure that you have enough funding to start your business. And if you don't have enough funding, then let's figure out where we can go get additional funding from so that you start out with the right amount of money to succeed. And so that's the other thing that they're going to talk about, is identifying the different sources of funding and how your business plan that you've built out can actually help you get that funding, right? Because if a banker or if a family member or, you know, whoever it is you're going to for additional funding for your business, if they can see you have a well thought out business plan and you know exactly how you're going to be successful and exactly where you're going to spend that money, then people are much more apt to invest in you and invest in your business. All right, in the next course, course 11, this is formalizing your dreams. So this is where we're going to explore the legal considerations that are involved in starting or growing your business. You're going to learn about contracts and agreements and experts who can provide guidance with these types of documents. And then you'll also explore the different legal structures for your business. So a lot of you have already made that determination. You're going to operate as a sole proprietor. You're an LLC. Some people have already filed for a nonprofit. Maybe you're an S Corp, right? Some of you have already decided that. This is just going to give you a review of the possible legal structures for your business. And then last but not least, they're going to review the importance of complying with any laws and regulations, like we talked about, labor laws, right? And then just dealing with general risk, the risk that comes with owning a business. Again, high risk, high reward, we know this, but it's important that you are educated about the risk that you're taking. And so that's what this course is going to wrap up for you. All right, guys, questions. Any questions from any previous courses that you've taken? Any questions on your mind tonight? Go ahead and type those either in the chat or in the Q&A panel, and I'll kind of keep an eye on that. On the left-hand side of your screen, we've got contact information for both Jonathan and myself. I'm your personal business coach through this course. I work with all kinds of clients. I spend most of my time convincing people to reach out to me because I'm a free resource for you. So please, again, if you have questions, if you want to talk about your business plan, if you want me to review your elevator pitch and give you some pointers around that, shoot me an email. I'm happy to schedule a one-on-one meeting with you. Or if you just want to go back and forth via email, we can do that as well. So we've got several funding partners that work with us to make our nonprofit possible. Our primary one is the Small Business Administration, and that is a federal grant that is matched from the Wyoming Business Council. So we're appreciative to all of our different funding partners, and we thank them for sticking with us throughout the years so that we can provide this kind of business education to Wyoming entrepreneurs. And so tonight's tasks, guys, what I would really like to see, in addition, if you haven't already sent me your elevator pitch, send me that. That was last week's assignment. What I would like to see this week is your organizational chart. So I'd love to see what your org chart looks like in your business. And if it's just you, send me an email and just say, it's just me. I'm the CEO, I'm the president, I'm the salesperson, I'm the accountant, I'm everything. That's okay. If you have more than just yourself in your organization and you've got that org chart built out, I'd like to see that. If you have a future org chart, right, where you think you're going to be going in the next year, then tell me, this is my future org chart. This is kind of where I see us in the future. And I don't care how you send this. You can send this in a Word document. You can send it in a PowerPoint. You can build it out in Excel. You can just send it to me in text, right? You can just write it out in a paragraph and explain what your org chart is. That's okay too. And then I also want to encourage everybody that's on the call tonight, you know, you've made it to week 5, which means you're at least engaged enough in the program to where you're thinking you may want to finish this thing out and actually write a business plan. So I'd encourage you to schedule a one-on-one coaching session with me. so that I can learn a little bit more about your business and give you a few more tips. I'm also happy to review anybody's business plan. If you make it to the finish line here and you get that Word document out of the system and you want to shoot that over to me, I'm happy to review your business plan and give you some additional feedback and pointers. Again, I'm a professional business coach. This is what I do for a living, and I do it for free for entrepreneurs in the state of Wyoming. So I hope that you'll take me up on my offer. All right, guys, I'm not seeing any open questions. And again, I'm trying to keep these Zoom calls at 30 minutes so that you at least have some extra time tonight to work on the DreamBuilder program. So I hope you hop in there and get through a few more modules and keep completing that business plan. Again, reach out to me. Please schedule a one-on-one coaching session. I will just throw up my email once again down here. Here's my phone number and my email address. It's a uwyo.edu address. That is because we have a special partnership with the university and they host our email accounts. But again, we are a separate nonprofit. We're not technically affiliated with the university. That confuses people sometimes, but that's why I have a UW email address. All right, guys, thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next week. Oh, looks like I've got one in the chat. Oh, just a thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. All right, guys, have a great week and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.